Hello, I'm Erica Nicole, and you're watching Rooted and Rich. And today I want to talk to you about how I saved my first $10,000 and what it did for my financial journey. Prior to me saving $10,000, it felt like I was always like saving the money and then taking two steps back to take one step forward. So I would save the money and an emergency would come up with my car. I would save some money and something would happen at my church and I feel compelled to give. I would save some money and something would just come up and it would just be like a revolving cycle or feeling like I'm on a hamster wheel or a merry-go-round because I just wasn't getting off. But once I saved my first $10,000, it really was a game changer for me. It took me out of survival mode because any emergency that popped up, and I won't say every emergency, I didn't have a house at that time, I was renting and I only had a car, but any emergency that popped up, I was able to cover it. And so for the most part, and so it was really nice. If I had to go to the emergency room, I could cover it. If the car had a repair for $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000, I could cover it. If I got into an accident, I could cover the deductible. And so there was so much freedom and peace of mind that happened when I saved my first 10,000. So let me tell you how I did it. So for me, the first step in the process is to really get a plan. And that's what everything money, because money is just a tool and how we use it, how we plan it out is how we get the most for our money, our most out of our money. And so my plan was really to figure out how much money it would take for me to save $10,000 within a year. And so you guys can pick the time frame. Maybe you have a lot of extra money at the end of every pay period, or maybe you don't. Maybe you have no money left over at the end of the pay period. But I want you to visualize what it would take for you to save $10,000. I'll just make it easy. Let's say you wanted to save $10,000 and you said, in order to do that, I know it's a little bit under $1,000 a month, but we'll just say $1,000 a month for easy math. That'll give you $12,000 at the end of the year. What do I have to do to save $12,000 or $10,000? Well, the first thing is, what can you save from your current paycheck? And this may require you to get your finances in order, meaning like to sit down and look at what you're spending, how much you're spending, and on what. Because it's the little things that add up. It's the lunches that add up. It's not planning your meals so you have to eat out all the time. It's the excess, and I won't say excess, but it's the excess trips of not planning things that you take to the gas station because you're not being strategic in how you're moving. There are a lot of things that eat up our money. It's the little things. And so when it comes to the little things, you really have to be more planful. So you have to give every dollar an assignment. And so you're going to look at your money and you're going to say, here are the things I have to pay. These are my fixed expenses, my rent, my car note, my electricity, my phone bill. And then you're going to look for things that you can cut. And so if there's things you can cut, can you get a cheaper phone? Can you get a cheaper service? Can you be more efficient in your utilities? What can you do to cut? Can you cut some subscriptions? What can you do to cut? But you're going to look at your money and you're going to see where everywhere it's going. And you're going to see where you have been not excessively spending, but just spending without consciously knowing it. Because a lot of times we spend and we consciously don't know. So I want you to really dive deep into your spending. Once you do that, you can see if you truly have no money left over in the month, or is it your lifestyle that makes you have no money left over the month? I know people have told me like, hey, I have no money left over in the month. I can't do anything, but they still pay to get their hair done. They still pay to get their nails done. And I'm not saying these things aren't necessities or things like that, but I know there are alternatives. There's alternatives, maybe cheaper alternatives. I know that there are people that still, eat out a lot and they say they don't have any money left over at the end of the month. There are people that, don't prioritize grocery shopping in a sense. They just kind of like get to the grocery store and just start, throwing stuff in the cart instead of making a list and sticking to it. So there are ways and things that we do unconsciously that we might be spending money on that if we cut out or if we stop for a short period of time or we really thought about what we were spending on, we might could do better. So let's say you say, hey, you know what? I've cut and I've seen and I might can save $100 a month from my paycheck, or I might $200 every paycheck. You cut and you cut and you can see. And if you could save $100 every pay period For some of you guys, that's $2,600 if you get paid biweekly. And for others that get paid bi-monthly, that's $2,400 right there. If you can double that to 200 a paycheck, which is 400 a month, that could either be $5,200 if you have 26 paychecks, or $4,800. And right there, you're almost halfway there. So I'll tell you what I did. So I decided to figure out what I could save every month. So every month I always had a line item for money to go in my savings. And that's even before I saved my first $10,000. That's a mindset shift that I had to make, but I always wanted some of my money paying me, because I feel like wealth is built in what you retain, not what you spend. And so I really always thought like, hey, I want to keep some of my money. I want to see it in my bank account because I'm tired of seeing everybody get the money that I work for. And so you want to figure out what that is. The second thing I did was I got a second job. Now I only worked this job, I want to say 6 months or less. I got this job probably in, I want to say September timeframe, and I think I stayed on there till about March. So it was not long at all. But I got this job and I was working for this company that sold T-Mobile services. So what we did was we would go into Walmart. I don't know if you guys have seen like the Direct TV or the AT&T people standing in the Walmart. They used to be there all the time and trying to sell you like TV services. So this is back in the day. This is old. It was a decade ago. But anyways, they would try to sell you TV services. So we would try to sell you cell phone service, but ours was easier because the people, we didn't have to accost people, and not that they were accosting people. We didn't have to go up to people. We literally just watched the cell phone app. And when a person was looking at a cell phone, we casually talked to them about, switching to a phone that had T-Mobile service, whether that was Walmart Family Mobile who used T-Mobile service or an actual T-Mobile plan. And any phone that we activated, we got credit for. And so we would put in the number and the activation thing, and we would get a commission on each sale. And it was only $10. So I think the job paid between $10 and $14 an hour. I can't remember, but it's like $14 an hour, and then you got a $10 every line you activated. So let's say you worked 3 hours, and then you did 5 phones, so you would get an additional $50 in the hourly pay. So I worked this job, like I said, for pretty much 4 to 6 months. But I took the money from this job and I put it directly in my savings account. So I never let it touch my checking account. The money went directly to my savings account because I had a goal and I had a plan. And so I go directly to the savings account and I stuck to my plan. Of course, things did come up, but because I was working a lot, I didn't have time to eat out. I didn't have time to spend a lot of money because I was working 2 jobs. And so you honestly will build it even faster because you're not doing anything because you're working all the time. That job did not have PTO or anything like that. So if you didn't work, you didn't make the money, and they didn't really like you calling off. So it just really kept me busy and working the job. So after I saved my first $10,000, what did it change for me? I believe it changed my outlook on money, because after that, I was like, man, if I save $10,000, how can I save $20,000? What is a 6 month emergency? How much would it take me to actually have 6 months? It really opened up that door. It made me feel like I could even save more in my retirement. So I think around that time, I started saving my savings rate when it came to my retirement plan. Or even if I didn't double that, I definitely added a few more percentages because I felt more clear. I felt more protected. I had more peace of mind because there really wasn't an emergency that could come up that I couldn't pay for. If I got sick and had to go to the emergency room, I had it. If something came up with my car, I had the money to pay for the car. If something came up or an accident happened, I could pay my deductible with the insurance. So every emergency I had, it gave me so much peace of mind. I felt like I got off that hamster wheel of saving and not saving, because I feel like when you have the money, emergencies really don't come up as much. It's kind of crazy, but once you hit the 10 grand mark, not to say that you don't see emergencies, but for some reason you don't see as many. And it kind of feels like at first when I was just saving a few grand or $1,000 here, it'd be like I save $1,000 and then it goes back. I save 2,000 and then somebody else needed it, or I end up having to spend it. But once you save $10,000, you don't see that as much, and it really was helpful. So what does all this mean? If you want to get out of survival mode, if you want to thrive, then you have to have some buffer. You have to have some savings because you are going to be in survival mode. You're going to use credit cards to try to help with your emergencies. And so saving your first $10,000 can really give you peace of mind. It can make your life stress free, and it can also open up your thinking to how you can make more money. One of the things that I realized, like after that time, is I ended up getting another promotion, seeing other ways that I could get add more value. And I think that once you start to figure out what to do with your money and how to really manage your money, and you save that $10,000, more money comes to you because now you have your money in order. You have things in order where if more money comes to you, you know what to do with it. You have a plan for it. And so I really hope that this video helps you. I know that that's a simple way, but there are so many ways to save $10,000. You can sell stuff that you have around the house. You can take on a second job. You can do dog walking. You can do babysitting. You can do hair if you know how. There's so many ways you can save your first $10,000, and there's so many ways to make money. And so just think about what is it that you could do to make the extra money. What is it that you can get in order in your finances to help you spend less, whether that's cutting something out or really tightening things up. Whatever that may be, figure that out, and you will have so much more peace of mind, so much more energy around your finances, and you'll go from surviving to thriving. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.